borrowed your beer for a moment. Okay, take a sip of that. I'll cop out a little bit here too, huh? Somewhat creamy head. Somewhat creamy head. And as this has already been sitting around for a couple minutes, well, let's go ahead and give a final say as far as the head retention. Head lasts a fairly long time. Head is fairly persistent.
Good retention.
Good retention. Yeah, that's a good enough descriptor. I don't know how you really quantify that, but if you want to say at the very end, head lasts to the very end of the cup, that's fine. Good retention. Okay.
Did you note that it also sticks to the side of the glass? Even though it's plastic, some of the bubbles.
That's an excellent add-on for appearance, which I'll be getting into as well. And as you have the room, you fit them in there. Well, if I've already commented on everything under the appearance section, we can go ahead and assign a score to it. As it fits as appropriate to the style, and this is the way that I interpret this as appropriate that you'll see in your score sheets. You score it as appropriate to the style. Would this be a perfect 3 out of 3?
Yeah.
Everyone says so? Fine with me. Score of 3. Now we're finally ready to drink the beer if you haven't tasted already, which is fine. Take a taste. Make sure that the beer hits the entire inside of your mouth and record your first impression. Sweet. Alcohol, sweet. What are the first impressions? It doesn't have to be the same as somebody else. What's the first thing that hits you with this beer? The character of the flavor. What's that?
Caramel.
Caramel.
Toast.
Toast? That's fine, don't worry. Stand.
Yeah, that's probably.
Malt, some sort of malt, right? Tracy, what's the first thing that hits you as you taste the beer? What flavor? General or specific is fine, don't worry.
Caramel.
Caramel, okay.
Sweet maltiness.
Okay. I think we've agreed that the maltiness is going to be maybe the first characteristic. Nothing wrong with saying that alcohol hits you first either. It's certainly up front in the flavor, as in within that first taste. And as you let this linger a little bit too, maybe you can decide on what the dominant character of the beer is. Is it malt? Is it hops? Is it esters? What's the dominant flavor of this beer? It's a Doppelbock.
Malt.
Yeah, it's malt dominated because it's a malt oriented style. So properly, it's malt dominated. Malt hits first. How's that for a descriptor? And then we can go into describing that malt a little bit more. How much of and what kind of go a long way in describing characteristics in the beer. How much? What kind of? Is it very malty? Is it mildly malty? Okay, great. Very malty or very strong malt. Caramel and toast. Okay. Is one a little bit more dominant than the other? It's okay to have different opinions though. Likewise, it's okay to say that caramel and toastiness are somewhat equal.
I think they're balanced.
What's that?
I think they're balanced.
They're balanced? For the sake of moving on and writing, if nobody objects, I'll go ahead and say caramel and toast in unison. Very malty. Caramel and toast in unison. What other flavors are we coming up with?
I don't taste the hops.
You don't taste the hops. Does anybody else taste hops? Any kind of bitterness?
Yeah. A little.
Any kind of hop flavor, like in the mid-taste?
Pepper.
Pepper. I'm picking that up too. That's interesting. Okay.
Pepper.
I assess the style too against what you have in the style guidelines. Are there certain things you can be looking for? Obviously, we have some things to be looking for in the flavor section there too. We said malt, hops, fermentation characteristics, balance, finish aftertaste, and other flavors. Somebody detected some alcohol in the original taste. Is there some alcohol in the flavor and not just in the warmth? Is there a little bit in the flavor?
Is alcohol a flavor though?
Yes.
That was always a mouthfeel.
It can apply to 3 different sections quite easily too.
And the aroma picks up.
Yeah, we agreed that it had a mild but noticeable alcohol aroma. In the flavor section, is there a little bit in the flavor, or is it more in the mouthfeel, meaning warmth? You can pick up alcohol in 3 different ways, and that's going to be very good because question T1 on specifics, I think the first thing listed on there is alcohol. How is it perceived is one way you can answer it. Aroma, flavor, and mouthfeel, as in warmth. But is there a little bit of an alcohol flavor to this or not? I kind of wonder if maybe picked up as a little bit more of a warmth or a feeling instead. But this is a 7.9% beer. There's probably going to be a little bit in there. But we'll decide on that before I write that down. Is it just a mild bitterness?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would almost call that assertive too, actually.
Assertive bitterness?
Not aggressive, but assertive. I'm guessing in the.
Mild but noticeable?
I think of
I
mild
like
as
that.
like in the teens, but this is. I don't know.
Teens in terms of IPA.
IBUs. This is probably around.
If I'm not mistaken, Doppelbock runs the range of 20 to 30 IBUs.
Right.
Was I right?
1626.
16 to 26. It's pretty close. Okay. Malt dominates this. It's not to say that you can't pick up any hop character in the beer, whether it's in bitterness or in flavor. Is there any kind of flavor you can pick up in the hops that's typical of, say, German varieties, whether it's floral or spicy? Is there a mild hop flavor? It's going to be very much malt oriented too. If you can pick that up a little bit on your own, then you can go ahead and write that in. I'll concentrate on the rest of the sheet here. Balance. Okay. Balance can be which the dominant characteristic. I think we all agreed that it is malt oriented too. As you're tasting the beer and even thinking about it more, go ahead and concentrate on the mouthfeel, okay?
Can balance also be sweetness, like the sweet up front sensation and the dry finish? Is that also part of balance, or is that just malt hop?
The way I think I would address that is to comment on what you first detect in the taste. In fact, in this instance, I said malt hits first.
Yeah.
But also, in the aftertaste, it's more of a, or perhaps even as it warms up, picking up more. That's fine because you're showing how the beer changes as the beer is warming up, and as you're concentrating on it more. But also, not so much that the beer is changing, but it is as far as the temperature. But certain things are perceived a little bit later too. What's in the middle of the taste? We already agreed that the malt hits you first, but maybe there's a little bit of a hop character in the middle of the taste. I got a little bit more too as you need to, so don't be afraid to pass that around. Fermentation characteristics, that would be things like esters. Is it fruity at all?
So ester is a fermentation.
For the most part. Back to mouthfeel. What does it say for mouthfeel? Body, carbonation, warmth, creaminess, astringency. Is this a light-bodied beer?
Definitely not.
Okay, a medium body? Medium full?
Medium full.
Full? Anyone?
I'd say full.
Okay, medium full to full? That's okay, I'll split hairs on this one here. Medium full to full body. All right, it covers everyone here too. it's probably not to the point of being very full, say like an Eisbach.